Soot stamping is the perfect technique to do for an autumn card project. It gives you an interesting background that's hard to create any other way, and it's fast, easy, and lots of fun. Let me show you the tools and products you're going to need to do this technique. You're going to need a household candle. You're also going to need some glossy cardstock. You're going to need a rubber stamp, and in this case I'm using one of the stamps from the Signs of Autumn Stamp TV kit. And you're going to need some sort of spray fixative. And I really like the Prismacolor Final Fixative in matte, the matte finish. It's also really good for your chalk pastel projects too, so it's something nice to have in your craft room. Okay, so to begin, light your candle, and I'm going to just say up front, this might not be a technique that you want to have younger children do. They can do the stamping part of it, but you should probably burn the paper. And remember, because paper is very flammable, you do have to really keep your eye on this while you're working on it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I've cut a strip of glossy cardstock, and I'm going to go glossy side down over the flame of the candle. But I'm going to continue to move very, very quickly so that I don't actually set the paper on fire, but I just burn the glossy coat finish. So you can see as I run my cardstock over that, you can see what's starting to happen. It's starting to get a burnt finish. So I'm just going to go ahead and burn most of that glossy finish off the top. I'm going to turn it and do the other side. Now, it's real easy to catch the edges on fire, so don't stay too long on any one area. And you can see it's really coming along nicely. But I still want to fill in a little bit of the white areas, so I'm going to do just a little bit more. And just that all by itself is such a pretty background. Just do a tiny bit more here. Okay. Now, I'm going to be very careful not to touch the surface of this piece of cardstock, because if you touch the surface, anywhere that there's black will come right off onto your fingers. And I just wanted to straighten it out a little bit. Now I'm going to move the candle out of the way. Now the next step is to take your rubber stamp. You don't need anything on it. You don't have to have any Versamark or ink or anything. It's just a plain bare rubber stamp. And I'm going to stamp right onto that glossy cardstock. And you can see how that just pulls the soot right off. Anywhere that I touch this piece of burnt glossy cardstock, it'll leave that impression. So here we go again. And you're going to get all kinds of different looks. You can rub a little bit of it off on your scratch paper if there seems to be any buildup on your stamp. And there's my final one. Isn't that beautiful? How pretty that is. Now, the next step is to spray some fixative. Now, don't spray your fixative anywhere near the candle. What I do is I take this little piece of cardstock outside, I lay it down on the grass or on the patio, put a little piece of paper underneath it, and I just lightly spray over it. You want to do that because this will rub off, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Watch what happens when I touch it. If I just touch it with my finger, see how it left a fingerprint right there? Anywhere that you touch it, it will rub right off. But once you've sprayed it with fixative and you've allowed it to dry, as you can see in my finished card project, you can rub over it all day long and it's not going to come off on your fingers. So here's my finished project. You can see what a nice focal image that makes, that interesting burnt background and those pretty leaves. And if you look very closely, you'll see a little bit of white splatters all over there. And what that is when you spray the fixative, as the fixative touches the cardstock, it will leave a little bit of like a spritz over the surface. And actually, that's a very, very pretty look. It gives it a little bit of interest. Soot stamping can be done using more delicate line art images for a more subtle look, or try it with large background stamps to create the perfect antique backdrop.